Hey Cindy,
Hey Meredith, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Doing fine. Did you work it out with Jeff?
Yeah, for today, no, I did not. I have not heard back from him on email or text message.
Okay.
And I apologize. I've got a 12 o'clock client meeting, so I just made you the host.
Okay. So what does that mean?
That means that means you're running the meeting now. I have to log out and leave because I've got to get on another virtual meeting platform with the client.
Gotcha.
I can't be logged in with two logins. Um, Oh, Jeff said, sorry, I was about to do this, had a meeting that ran long. So um, I think he's available. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he's available now. I'll let him know that I've started it and switched over to you. And then
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna make it back at 12:30. It depends on how this meeting goes.
Okay.
But
Question for you. Are people going to be in a waiting room and I have to keep admitting them, or should they just be able to get in?
um, I actually don't know how it was set up. Let me
Okay.
see. I can't tell since I've started the meeting. I can't tell how it was set up. But you're the host. If you share a screen, they can see your screen. You can mute people. You got all the admin capabilities.
Okie dokie. So share screen, chat, participants.
It's also recording to the cloud. So
Okay.
Jeff can edit out this initial first 10 minutes where we're just chatting, and then
Okay.
um, he can let us know where it's saved.
Okay.
Do you need anything from Jeff or me? Do you need him to be on the call?
I'm thinking probably not. Like I said, the only thing I was wondering was I gonna have to admit people or not? And I'm figuring I will be turning over the share screen to Joe so he can do his presentation.
Okay.
But other than that, I think everything's pretty straightforward.
If you click on participants down at the bottom where it's got the little people
Yep.
icon,
Hmm.
right, it'll pop up a list on the right hand side. If you hover over somebody's name and click more, um, it should give you the option, or it might be the dot, dot, dot. It gives you the option to make them a co-host.
Oh, okay.
So once Dr. Hummer joins, you could make him a co-host and then either of you could share a screen.
Oh, okay. Good. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be at my computer on this other meeting. So if anything happens, just shoot me an email or text message.
Okay. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Cindy. Good
Oh,
luck.
you're welcome.
Bye.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey Cindy, how you doing?
Doing fine. I'm hoping everybody that accepted really shows up today.
Let's see.
I had asked Meredith, do you know? Oh, there we go. Some are already.
Yep.
My guess is they don't have to log in or get admitted. So that's good.
Yeah, I think there's a password, so there should be, you should have a,
Yeah, I'm starting to see names come up and I'm not having to admit them.
then we're
So
good.
that's good. I'm hoping our guest speaker shows up. Joe, would you like to unmute?
Yep, just did, Cindy. How's it-
Good deal. I'm guessing that everybody's still working on getting online here. Let's see. Good afternoon. Let's see. And I am, let's see. You have a presentation to show, so I need to share screen.
Yep.
Correct?
Just one slide, but it's a good one. Yeah.
That's okay. I just hit share screen.
And let me see if I can.
Joe Hummer has started shares. There you go.
Yeah, so you got my slide up there, huh?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So, so far we've got 18 folks online. And I'm thinking we give probably another 2 minutes and then you can go ahead and get rolling. What do you think?
Works for me. How are things in Knoxville today?
A little overcast, but can't complain. Temperatures are nice. How about you?
Yeah, I think today's our last kind of cool day. I think it's going to get hot starting tomorrow.
Yeah, they're talking. I hope this isn't the end of spring. Because I really like spring. Not as big of a fan of the really hot, sticky weather.
It's kind of that time of year, though. I think
Yes.
when I was on faculty, it was always, I hope we can get through graduation before it gets hot. So, you know, that was early May sometime. That was kind of the marker of when the seasons changed.
When is graduation over there?
Usually it was around Mother's Day, May 8th, 10th, something like that.
Right, but what is it this year since everybody was canceling spring break? So that it could get done sooner.
You know, I think it went maybe 1 week later. I think graduation was just this past weekend this year.
Okay,
Be May 14, 15, somewhere in there.
okay. Well, let's see. Hmm. Well, at this point, I haven't seen anybody new jump online yet. And I've got 12:05. So on that note, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to Joe Hummer from the North Carolina section. He's their section president. And this is a repeat presentation by Joe that I specifically asked him to do for us because when I saw him do his presentation at the International District Section Chapter event back in March that International hosted, I was surprised they had asked Joe, someone from our district, to do a presentation, which is always a thrill. And it was really good stuff that he had to talk about. And we didn't get a chance to really do a deeper dive into the what he was presenting, which is what I'm hoping we're going to do today. So on that note, I'm going to let Joe go ahead and start talking so that we can get to the discussion. So take it away, Joe.
Yeah, thank you, Cindy. And I'm glad that everybody's here today. Always happy to talk transportation and especially with you all who are the diehards out there. I really appreciate that. So what I did in March at the DSC meeting was really just this one slide, and I think it took 5 or 10 minutes then, and that's what I'm planning here today. What Cindy's correct. What we didn't have time for in March was the discussion afterward that I was really hoping to spur and get some back and forth. What I wanted to do was share what we have done at the North Carolina Section ITE, and I'm the president this year, and I'm jumping up here and looking like I'm taking all the credit for all these things when really it's many dozens of people that helped make this possible, right? But so I was hoping to share what we've done basically through the pandemic to keep good programming going, keep active, keep things, get eyeballs on screens from Nixite. But then I also wanted to hear what other districts and sections are doing because, there's some things we could borrow or steal to enhance our program that would certainly be a good thing. Or after you've heard about some of these things, maybe there's some tweaks you could offer to help make them better. So that was the idea back in March for the larger group. And I'm really glad Cindy got this together for this group here. And I am really keen on hearing your ideas back and what your section has done, particularly since COVID, 14 months now, what you're planning to do going forward, and how can we all do this better? So when COVID hit back in March of 2020 at North Carolina section, we thought we spied an opportunity, and never try to let a crisis go to waste. We thought the opportunity was webinars. And we thought if we jumped up and started offering a sort of a large menu of webinars, a big program, that we could get those eyeballs on the screens and provide a lot of help to our members who needed training, and also frankly they were looking to fill up their days. Remember at the start of COVID, we were all home, but didn't quite know what we were doing there. So we had some hours to fill, but also to help people stay engaged with the profession, with us, and do all this in a way that was suddenly available to us, that was efficient. That we did not have a tradition of webinars before COVID hit, and now everybody has these programs, Zoom and Teams and et cetera, and know how to use them. So we could match speakers with audiences out there in a way that we really couldn't do before. One other thing about us, about North Carolina, is that this is a large state. We are, 500 miles across, and we really do have working transportation professionals at the coast and way out in the mountains, further west than Atlanta. I think we even get further west than Knoxville. So large state that if we're only offering in-person programs in Raleigh, we're not going to get those people from the mountains or from the coast to come in for a program, at least not very often anyway. But the webinar format, we got a chance. Now it's a matter of time rather than distance. So we thought we saw an opportunity here, and we got kind of aggressive with that throughout 2020 and into 21, and I think it's paid off. And I think we've offered a lot of programs and got a lot of attendance and provided a lot of value. And one other thing that we did early on as a board of the North Carolina section was decide that these programs, these webinars would all be free. And we're in a kind of a fortunate financial situation. We've got great sponsorship from companies that sort of allow us to do this. But also we thought that if it's free, it takes away an administrative burden, and it allows us to sort of recruit. Maybe we can get non-members to view some of our webinars, some of our events, who will then think about becoming members or encouraging their company or agency to do a group membership. So that was on our mind for sure too when we started. And that's a discussion each of your boards has to have before you make a decision on whether to be free or to try to charge fees. But we decided to go the free route, and for us, it was, I think, the right thing to do. So anyway, on the slide here, you could see we carried on with a typical program for us, which consists of an annual meeting, which is went virtual in 2020, and a mid-year meeting that's usually in a June timeframe, and was virtual in 2020. And then we have monthly meetings of our councils. We have a council structure So traffic engineering and transportation planning in particular carried on with monthly meetings. And some of those have technical content and some of those don't. But those all, of course, went virtual throughout 2020. And then we have user groups as well on more particular topics, and those fit within the council. So, you know, for instance, traffic engineering has user groups on simulation and on safety and connected automated vehicles. And so those user groups had occasional virtual meetings throughout 2020 as well. So that's sort of our typical program. And we carried on with the typical program throughout 2020 by going virtual. So, but the things on this slide are the things that we have done extra or in addition to the typical program. And in 2020, the biggest one of those was a series of webinars, what we call Back to Basics. I think in the end, we had 16 of those throughout 2020, and they have carried on throughout 2021. At one point in 2020, we were basically offering one of those once a week. And there's a real virtue in that. It got to be a sort of a routine. If it was, I think those were on Wednesdays. If it was a Wednesday at lunchtime, you could expect Nixite to be having a Back to Basics traffic engineering webinar. 1 hour long, of course, virtual I think throughout 2020, actually, those were all just, the platform was Teams arranged through one of our companies. I think Sarah Wickland, our traffic engineering council chair, just graciously arranged through her company to host the webinar. And the beauty about Back to Basics was that it really didn't require much preparation. So mostly me running around trying to line up speakers, but my pitch to the speakers was, these are basics, these are fundamental things. So put together an hour's worth of slides on a topic that you already know back and forth, left and right. And most of the speakers were happy to do that because they already had slides, a little bit of prep, but it really wasn't like a new research kind of thing, cutting edge. The Back to Basics could be done, and these speakers, and I think they're really high quality presentations, but it was basic material. It was a review, and our members liked it because they felt like they wanted this basic material. It'd been a long time since, if I work in signing or if I work in long range planning, it'd been a long time since I thought about signal timing. But it was interesting to hear about that again and sort of brush up in almost a PE review kind of way. So our attendance was fantastic. We probably averaged 90 or so attendees at each of those. And again, we offered 16 of them. There were a lot of them. I think in a range of about 50 at the lowest to about 150 or 160 at the highest. I think Sarah was wondering whether we were going to break her company's Teams program at some point there, but she managed. And so, that's for us, that's a lot of people where a regular monthly meeting or a user group meeting in person, we'd feel really great if we got 30 people out to that. So getting, 90 to a virtual event, we thought was just superb. So 2021, that series has now shifted over to transportation planning topics, and that council has taken over, and they're doing a series of Back to Basics in planning, less frequently now. They decided they wanted to go, I think, every other month on those. So there's going to be 6 of them throughout the year instead of the 16. But we still like that idea. And in 22, we'll probably go back to traffic engineering, and maybe out in the future we'll keep kind of flip-flopping between those two groups until we run out of basic topics. But there's a lot of them out there. anybody wants to see what 16 topics we used, I can round that up for you and send that to you. But you know, you probably know what those are. It was the right series at the right time for our audience, and we felt like we got good success with it. If anybody got questions or comments along the way here, please chime in with those. Small enough group here, I think just unmute and verbalize. Is that okay, Cindy?
And that is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And I did ask in the chat box to feel free to put it there. Here we go. Were those recorded? on
Yeah.
your-
Good question. They were not. It did not occur to us until toward the end of 2020 when, like, oh dang, we could have been recording these and putting them up in a library somewhere. So now we're doing that and trying to work out a good place on our website to put those and have those available as a resource. Again, you know, for free for anybody, if it's can possibly be helpful, fantastic. But no, that really really just didn't occur to us till well into 2020, and we're doing it now.
I've got a question for you. Did you offer PDHs since these were back to basic courses?
Yep, we sure did. One hour PDH per hour of webinar, and yeah, a little bit of a paperwork burden to do that, but eventually we kind of worked out a system to keep that going there, and no doubt in my mind, those are legitimate PDHs. It's good learning topic.
Right. And I was going to ask, in light of the fact, you know, my take is you're fairly well ranked within the DOT over there at North Carolina. So who would turn you down when you ask them to speak? I'm thinking back to the other officers and stuff who may not have that kind of seniority yet with where they work, their confidence level, and being able to go tap, tap, I want you to do a presentation.
Well, I like to think it was my good looks and my charm that I don't know. Yeah, maybe so, but certainly nothing overt like that. And I really hope it was, you know, that maybe I just happened to know who could do it. That was probably the main thing. I think that who is the right person. I had a topic in mind, and you know, for instance, local traffic engineering issues, kind of small town and small city, and that's not us. But yeah, I kind of know who that could be, who would be a good speaker on that, who might have some slides already. So that was probably more than having any clout that came with my position, which I don't think I really had that much. But it was sort of knowing who's in the state and who would probably be a good speaker on this thing. And then a couple of times I'd reach out to somebody and they said, I'm not really the best person, but this other person is. So I got a good referral, and almost, I think every case, at least the second person did agree and did make a great presentation then. So the main thing I brought to it was just kind of knowing who was out there.
Now, as part of this presentation that you did, since I'm not seeing any questions, I'm rolling with it.
Yeah.
Since it was a back to basics and essentially, and it was a PDH opportunity. So did the speaker essentially give about a 45-minute presentation and open it up for questions at the end, like you would expect, kind of thing?
Yep. And then the moderator, Sarah, or me, kind of have a couple questions in our back pocket in case the conversation lagged a little bit, that we could kind of prime the pump there a little bit. But yeah, that was the idea. We told the speakers, you know, no less than 30 minutes, no more than 50, and try to time it out at 40 or 45 would be a really perfect presentation length for that format. Yep.
And I was going to say, if you would be so kind as to forward me your 16 topics,
oh yeah,
I'll be more than happy to share them with the different sections in an email. So knowing that that's what North Carolina did, I'd like to ask the other sections, did you do anything like that in regards to what was going on? And I'm going to pick on my own state first. Tennessee. I know you're on, Luke.
Yeah, I guess I'm the only one from Tennessee, so it's got to be me.
You get how this works.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we have not done a lot of. We met in person once last year, and that was back in February for our winter meeting. We did meet virtually for our spring, summer, and fall meeting, our fall section meetings. We had 4 meetings a year. Fall was a joint meeting with the ITS Tennessee as well as Highway Safety Operations Conference. That's one thing, I guess, you may have pointed that out, Joe, is the virtual format allows you to do joint meetings with other sections that you normally would not have. You're not crossing, distance doesn't matter because it's all virtual. But in between the section meetings, we did not meet more often. Well, probably should have, but I think it's great what y'all done with the meeting more often to keep engagement with your audience or your members. Ours were also free as well. We figured it wasn't costing us anything to meet virtually, so we did provide PDHs, and it was free. So hopefully, we usually had pretty good attendance.
And Luke, do you foresee going forward, this year, since we are getting more familiar with the technology and everything and having this capability, do you see the Tennessee section actually offering any type of webinar, I wouldn't say monthly, but on a, in between basis from the in-person meetings?
Yeah, that's something I can talk to the board with and see. I think it's definitely a possibility. There's also the possibility once you start meeting in person again, so we want to do hybrid meetings. I know that's big. It makes it a lot more complex if you've got trying to keep people in the room engaged plus people online engaged, and so they can all interact. It's much more planning, a lot harder. But
hold that thought till later in the show here, because we'll have an announcement.
One concern is you don't want to cannibalize your existing programs either.
Yes.
Yep.
And, we were very conscious of that. And again, thought that the back to basics was far enough away from what the presentations would usually be at our annual meeting and mid-year meeting and such. And then as far as other sections go, I remember a conversation we had on that too, and we didn't want to eat into your programs either. So maybe we should have elevated that to the Southern District, and you could help coordinate that with us somehow. But that was a real conscious thought we had, is we don't want to start kind of running around and taking your attendees away from your programs either. So I don't know.
And one of the questions I guess I have, because as we learned at the annual meeting from the section reps and whatnot, is they gave their section reports, particularly for our smaller sections. They were having a hard time, both from a technology standpoint and then just getting speakers that they hadn't heard from before. And so having those kinds of connections and opportunities to join another section might have helped spur some additional things within that section. I mean, it's just something to think about. I have no idea. Would anybody from Alabama, hey Blair, how would you like to talk about that?
Hey Cindy, yeah. So we actually, not Siri, Cindy. Hold on. Sorry about that. So yeah, and I'll give props to Cody Long. I don't know if Cody's on, but he is our new Secretary Treasurer. And Cody had approached me about something very similar to what Joe talked about, is doing a monthly lunchtime lunch and learn. He was calling it Traffic 101, but it was kind of what Joe was talking about, the back to basics. I think really geared probably more towards our younger membership and maybe even trying to grow our younger membership, but also, to give that training maybe to some of the public sector folks that mainly have worked, in roadway or other disciplines a lot of their career, and, maybe don't have a lot of that traffic background. So again, I'll give props to Cody Long for coming up with that. We have not gotten that off the ground yet, but it is something that we want to do. I think Cody's got a couple of other consultants here in Alabama. I think that he's wrangled into teaching these. So yeah, fantastic idea. We've not done it yet, but I think we're moving in that direction and want to do a series of probably monthly lunch and learns on that topic.
Okay. Would anybody else like to speak, or do you want me to call out your name? I'm married to a professor, so I know how that works.
This is Christine from the Bayside section.
Hey, Christine.
Hi. So we had similar challenges. We did do a joint webinar series or webinar session with WDCITE this past fall, but our other events this year have been more of a social nature. And I think part of that was related to the number of abstracts we were receiving when we did the call for abstracts for the WDCITE joint meeting. We really received a minimal number. So I really like that idea of having topics that are outside of the normal annual conference or standard meeting topics, because I think that could help expand the opportunities for webinars. So definitely something we'll think about going into this year.
Yeah, I guess on that point, one thing that Joe had mentioned earlier, and I was going to follow up on that, was you said you'd hoped it might help as a recruiting tool, since it was free and what it was that you were talking about. Any idea if you had, were you able to recruit anybody?
I think so. I can't name any names, but our membership is up. And I think especially the corporate membership at NCDOT has filled up, which it hadn't before. And the city of Charlotte has added a lot of new members through their corporate membership, Charlotte DOT. And I think this helped. And maybe even with the leadership more than the new members, that the leadership sort of encouraged their newer employees, younger employees to join, because we were offering a pretty obvious active set of programs here. So can't prove it, but I think so, and especially in filling out the ranks of the corporate members.
Okay, got a question in the chat box for you from Becky. She wants to know, did you advertise the webinars outside of Nick's site?
We did not. No. And part of that was that we were conscious of not wanting to step on any other toes out there or undercut anybody else who was doing their own programming.
And on the Back to Basics, you said you did like 16 of those last year. What about the Forward to the Future, the conversations and the big projects? Any idea how many of those you did?
Yeah, so those are all new for 2021. Forward to the
Gotcha.
Future. Yep, since 21, the transportation planning is doing Back to Basics. Traffic engineering this year is now doing a new series, Forward to the Future. I think we're going to do 6 of those. So once a month, it'll sort of alternate between traffic and planning. And the Forward to the Future will be a little bit more difficult to prepare for. We're trying to be more cutting edge, trying to be, futuristic, obviously connected automated vehicles and electric vehicles and UAVs and those kind of topics. But so far, I think we've had 1 of those, maybe 2, and they're going well. Conversations in Transportation is my new talk show. So I play Johnny Carson, or for those of you who don't remember, Trevor Noah. Pick your. But anyway, we're going to do 6 of those this year. The next one is coming up May 24th, next Monday, and it's an hour-long, basically talk show format. Me trying to interview a leader in the transportation industry. We've 2 of those so far, and they've been well attended, and the reviews are good on those coming in. And we're trying to pick different interesting topics. Like the first one was all about funding. The second one was all about multimodal. This one coming up next week is entrepreneurship. I want to have one with some inventors. So basically a chance to,
Cool.
have that conversation with really leaders. And yeah, I'd like to get Pete Buttigieg. I'd like to go, kind of worldwide, but we'll see who we can snag to be guests on that. And then the fourth one listed here, big project series, not underway yet. Again, I think we'll go try to get in those maybe every other month. And those, we're trying to have a webinar on the $1 billion projects across the state, the really huge ones, but especially with the great pictures that they've got there.
Yeah.
And the main reason we're not off the ground on that yet is the person I asked to run that she decided to go have a baby instead. And so she on maternity leave but she's back now, and hopefully we'll get that off the ground soon with the program on the Silver Line light rail project in Charlotte. So that'll kind of round out 21. And in the end, if you total that up, that should be about 20 or so of these webinars throughout the year, in addition to our usual program.
Okay. I'm not seeing anything in the chat box. Would anybody like to ask any questions or tell anything about their sections, what they're up to or did in
Cindy,
2020?
this is Chris Maddox from Georgia. How are y'all?
Doing fine. Good to hear from you, Chris.
Yeah, we just wanted to maybe help out a little bit. We've done the webinars through 2020. We kind of moved our entire, annual meeting schedule online. It was something that Kate had envisioned, and COVID, something that kind of pushed us that way. But what we have done is kind of started broadcasting those. We have a YouTube page. And so for anything we record and store, that's available for anyone to go back and watch, because we constantly get questions or requests for the presentations and but now they're up there live for people to go back and view. So, we can see, you can track everything, which is nice too. So since our February one, we can see that we've had 470 views on that, and we'll constantly get people asking for things. So that's been something that's been successful for us. Just kind of providing that resource for people to go back and see it when they want to.
Tell me this, since they're going back after the fact to watch it, are they eligible to get like professional development hours?
So how we do it is you have to register for the meeting to receive your PDH. So we send everything out ahead of time, and we still track. So we're still having about 90% members, 10% guests. And it is free for all of our members, but we do charge a $5 cover for non-members. So that way we can track, and we provide some benefit to our membership to try to encourage them to join. So we still, we're not trying to make any money, but we want to give a little bit of benefit to our members. We track that through the Star Chapter, web domain that we use that International kind of took on. We've had that one for about 2 years. And then something that is going to be bigger for us going forward that'll be new is we are actually going back to a hybrid event for our large annual meeting that'll be at St. Simons in July. So we have opened in-person registration and virtual, and that will be free for anyone that wants to attend virtually that's a member. So we're still offering that even for our large conference. And then people that wish to attend in person and pay the registration for the fees that occur for that. So that's our big kind of push right now that we're working to do. And we actually ended up creating a whole new virtual committee at the end of last year, because we realized that this is something we want to keep doing even when we get back to in-person events, because like Joe says, you have people all around the state. We don't want people to feel like they can't attend because Georgia's really kind of Atlanta centric, but we want people in Savannah or down by Florida, any of our bordering states, to be able to feel included and to be able to join. So it's something we're really putting an effort into trying to make as efficient and effective as possible. So this year will be some more good learning, and hopefully by next year coming around, we'll hopefully be a little smoother, but that's just kind of what we've been working on our end. So maybe we'll have some lessons learned
Okay,
towards the end of the year on that.
thank you. That was good to hear.
Cindy,
Anybody?
can I,
Oh, go ahead, Joe.
yeah, that was really excellent points there, Chris. Raises the possibility for me. Southern District providing these platforms, these meeting platforms, has been really helpful. That's been superb. And the extension of that would be if Southern District could provide the next generation of platforms that could help us do those hybrid things. That is when we go to, you know, live, people in the audience live, and we're broadcasting or recording for that diverse audience that's virtual. So, you know, continuing to provide that kind of technical support for us and how to do that would be just superb.
I guess this might be a good time to bring in Becky. Are you still online? I know you're just audio today and not visual, to talk about the Past Presidents Committee and what you're up to this tomorrow and next month.
Sure. I'll talk about tomorrow, then I'm going to let Kate talk about next month, since I saw she's online and that's her baby. But basically what we're doing, Cindy tasked the Past Presidents Committee of Southern District to put together a monthly, we're calling it a mentorship session series, but basically something that we can mentor our members on something. So tomorrow, Shirley, hopefully you've seen, there was something went out this morning even, but tomorrow we'll be hosting a session during the lunch hour about the benefits of professional certification. And I believe as of today, we have 95 people signed up for that, and they keep coming. So excited about that. But we've got some representatives from the Transportation Professional Certification Board. We've got several of our members who hold these certifications. And then we've also got a hiring manager that are going to be on our panel. So basically it's a panel discussion, but there will be opportunity to ask questions. So please join us for that. And then I'm going to let Kate talk about what's going on for next month. But before I turn it over to her, there'll be some other topics throughout the year. Some will be of more interest to officers, like section officers. We've kind of split all of our sessions in two groups. So one group is going to be things that more pertain to helping the sections. And then other topics pertain to the whole membership. So just be watching for those. We should have one a month for the rest of the year. But Kate, do you want to talk about what's going on in June?
Sure. So next month, I think it's June 23rd is the date that we've picked over lunch. We're going to have a panel discussion about hybrid meetings. So we've got two events here in Georgia, which is why I've been selected for this one. We've got an ACEC event that happened at the end of March. That was a hybrid event where they did a few people in person, but it was mostly virtual, and that went off very well. So we have a representative from ACEC to help us talk through what they planned and how the event went and lessons learned, as well as Chris mentioned that our Georgia ITE summer seminar event this year is going to be virtual. So we're pretty much most of the way through with the planning of that event. So we've got a representative from that planning committee as well to talk through how that planning went and what we've run into so far. And we're still looking for some additional people to be on the panel. So if you know any groups that have hosted a hybrid meeting, we're looking for anyone that's either in the planning or the implementation phase of that. And that's it. If you guys have any questions, let me know.
And in light of everything, I think that's very timely. As you heard from the discussion today, that's the direction everybody's wondering about. And I know earlier this month, the district, I hosted a debriefing meeting on how the annual meeting went back in April, because there were a lot of lessons learned and just things that were raised about just how it went off, just trying to do everything virtually, not trying to do any type of a hybrid, and the problems that we ran into. And, you know, and people are already thinking ahead, well, what kind of things we're going to have to overcome if we're doing this both live and on as a virtual platform. So I think those will be great discussions, both what Kate's hosting next month, and then again, what Becky's hosting tomorrow in regards for certification. I'm very heartened to hear she's got 95 already signed up for tomorrow. And obviously one of the things is we did not start advertising the June meeting yet because we did not want to overlap with these are, as Becky said, these are going to be pretty much done probably during the lunch hour. The intention is not to earn PDH, it's strictly to have a conversation, learn something, in terms of things that are going on. And we got a long ways to go, but I think we're making strides in terms of trying to help each other out, both at the district level and at the sections. And, we're all learning and going forward at this point. So I'm very heartened to hear, what the different groups are doing. So does anybody else want to speak up or be called upon to talk about your section? We haven't heard from the Deep South or Kentucky yet, or South Carolina.
Yeah, good afternoon. This is Lee Tupper from South Carolina section. And yeah, this has been
Welcome,
great,
Lee.
Joe. I appreciate. Thank you, Cindy. This has been great to learn about the webinars. Last year we also had a couple of webinars that we were doing throughout the year. We had several people from SCDOT provide some updates, and that really helped our attendance. But as several of the states have said, it was a big help for our meetings. We traditionally just have a in-person meeting in Columbia, Greenville, and Charleston each year, and they're about 2 hours from Columbia each. And so we've got a very we've got a Greenville group, a Columbia group, and a Charleston group that attend the meetings. And so the webinars we did put on had great attendance, more than 2 or 3 times our normal meeting attendance. So Joe, you mentioned the hybrid model going forward, and that was something we've thought about as well, because Greenville and Charleston are 4 hours from each other, 3.5, and so that's just difficult to entice people to travel that far for a 2-hour meeting or something along those lines. But it would be great to be able to still offer that to the folks that are out of town, just to create more of a section feel for the state. So that's definitely something I know we'd be interested in and would utilize in the future. So, but thanks, Joe, for sharing all this.
Thanks, Lee.
Hey, Cindy, it's Diane from Deep South.
Hey, Diane.
We have not done a whole lot of things. We did the joint meeting with Allsite, and we did a joint meeting with the Gulf Region Intelligent Transportation Group. But other than that, that's pretty much the only 2 virtual meetings that we've kind of delved into. We've got another one coming up at the end of this month with Tennessee. So hopefully we can get some things moving forward. These are all great ideas, so I certainly appreciate everybody sharing.
And this is Jessica with Deep South too, just to kind of piggyback on what Diane said. I really like the back to basics. That's a great topic, and I think we definitely could incorporate that. One thing we kind of went in the opposite direction a little bit in our speakers, and we kind of reached out nationwide. We took the opportunity to reach out on a national level because we do have this virtual component. So we brought people in from Oklahoma and from California and from Florida. So I do like that it lended the opportunity to us to have speakers that we maybe would not have had otherwise. So I think that's one benefit of this virtual world, is that we can have a further reach and kind of connect easier than we could before.
And Jessica, a question for you, since you reached out well beyond the district for those guest speakers, did you have to pay any kind of honorarium or anything, or?
No, they were happy to do it. A lot of them already have, that's what we found. I was so surprising, is a lot of these people were more than willing to do it, and they had these presentations readily available. And from us in Louisiana, we're a little bit of a smaller, especially Mississippi, we're a rural state. So, we think of these innovative ideas, but we oftentimes don't get to put them into practice as much as these larger states do that have more urbanized areas. So it was really good to hear from other states that maybe are a little bit more progressed in their transportation field than we are right now. So where we are in our initiating phase, they've already gone to construction. So no, we didn't have to pay any extra. And like I said, a lot of them already had these presentations available. We're more than happy to give them to us. And we got some really great feedback from our members who enjoyed the presentations. And like I said, probably would not have had them otherwise.
That's true. Now, question for you in regards to finding these other speakers. Who found them? Is it related to something they were working on, an article they read?
So I work for the DOT, so I just reached out to some of the consultants we work with who I know have nationwide offices.
Okay.
And I just, would email them and ask them, hey, this is a topic we are interested in. Do you have any experts in your company that would be willing to speak on it? And almost every single time they had someone, and they have, I guess, within their companies have groups. So they'll have, a DDI group or an alternative intersections group, or, and within those groups, they have experience and expertise that is nationwide. So that's how we got those speakers in, was reaching out to different consultants and just asking if it was something that they had someone capabilities within their company.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate the information. It's good to know. Anybody else want to say anything? I'm still not seeing any questions in the chat box.
Hi, Cindy. This is Austin from the Kentucky section.
Hi, Austin.
So we work kind of slow as well. We do usually about one per season. So we had our winter technical session that we did, and Lindsay Walker was able to reach out to some other people within the district, and we had I think 3 or 4 speakers for that, and that one went really well. And then we did a joint section meeting with the Ohio section back in April. So I guess this summer, I don't think we're meeting next week, so we may plan another one for the summer, but I know we're trying to get the golf outing together.
Okay.
And then we are also working on the Southern District meeting that will be in Louisville next year. So we're starting to ramp up those meetings as well. So.
Okay. Well, thank you for that info. Anybody else want to say anything?
Hey, Cindy, it's Scott. Just
Hey,
want to,
Scott.
how you doing? Just wanted to take a moment here to say thanks to everybody for what they shared today. One of my goals being on the international board was to, not only learn what other districts are doing, but take some of these great things that we're doing to them. And I had a quick call Friday afternoon with 2 people in 2 completely different phases. They're both my colleagues on the board, but one being Andy from Iowa and the brand new Mobite district. And they're very much in their infancy, since a lot of their sections, I guess, kind of got converted over to a district. So geographically, a little bit different than us, but kind of similar. They're spread out. And, what we're learning here today and some of the challenges, I think is beneficial to them. And the other guy I talked to was Mark out in the Bay Area, completely different geography than what we're at. But some of their challenges are similar. And, here they have a pretty high concentrated number of folks. And I want to be able to take back, what some of the folks in the Georgia section, with being a very, I think, for the most part, Atlanta-centric, section, kind of what they do well. And I want to set up a meeting there. But same thing kind of North Carolina, even though you're just a little bit more Raleigh and Charlotte driven, that there's still some lessons learned that I think they can benefit from. So don't be surprised, Georgia, North Carolina, if I reach back out to you, or at least put Mark in touch with you. Because again, I think that's the brilliance of this organization and this communication, just making sure that we take good stuff like this and give them opportunity as well. So thanks for everybody for sharing today.
Thanks, Scott. Anybody else want to share any thoughts, comments, questions?
I guess, Cindy, this is Joe. A question for you is, to what extent do you want us to advertise our events through the Southern District to other sections? Like I said, we were hesitant to do that, not wanting to trample on other people's events, but it sounds like you're kind of encouraging that. So, want to get your sense of that.
I think it's great. I mean, if people have the time to join in for a 1 hour deal, I think we should encourage it so that maybe it'll give them an idea of what to take back to their own section, either as a topic or something that they've learned and whatnot. I know I've been happy that at the district level, we have that calendar that's posted online now, and you can pull it up, and on the calendar, you can see what sections are doing. And typically that's tied back into who has signed up for, a Zoom meeting, so that, hey, can't use it at that time. But I would love to see, everybody who's having a section meeting, if we're back to meeting in person, I want to see all of that on the calendars so you can map out your life. I know for me, being that I live in Knoxville, I'm 2 hours from Asheville, and I've actually attended an Excite meeting over there like 10 years ago, but it was easy to do, kind of thing. So I think it's a good thing, and I would encourage everybody, if you can get online and join somebody else's, just to see who shows up, what the topic is, how they do it. I think nothing but good can come out of it in terms of what's going on. So that's my take on it. In terms of advertising it, typically, I know every month the newsletter comes out, and it can be for the following month, whatever you're doing, that you can have a little ad in there. Like I said, if we can encourage the membership to go to the website and just check to see what's on the calendar so that they know what's coming up. I have no problems putting that in the monthly newsletter. Hey, check the calendar to see what's coming up. And then if the person as long as there's a way to get in touch with somebody so that they can get the link to join the session, I think that's the way we should be heading. And that's me personally. I've not talked about this with the rest of the executive committee. So they're more than welcome to weigh in. Becky, Scott, Krista, any thoughts on your parts? Nobody wants to jump in. They're looking
Becky,
for their...
I like the idea of being able to advertise to the other sections too, because I think it does give you opportunity to get more involved in things that ITE is providing as a whole too. And then same thing, just idea sharing. And I'm going to tell in somebody that's on the call that might have been speaking that I know somebody that's a really great speaker that has a lot of presentations that any of y'all, that if you want anything, an alternative intersection design or interchange design, Dr. Joe Hummer has I think he's got a whole briefcase of presentations, and it takes him about half a second to say yes if you ask him. So sorry, Joe.
Thank you.
I was just gonna say that, Cindy, I think we do as a executive committee need to start having some discussions about what Joe mentioned about the next generation of platforms for hybrid meetings. I know nothing about those, but I've just been searching on Google here real quick to see what's out there. But I think it would be worth some research.
Yes.
Committee involved in that as well.
I agree.
Hey, Cindy, this is Lee. I
Yes.
don't think that would, opening those presentations to our sections, I don't see where it would be a problem. We don't have the frequency of events where I think they would probably conflict. And when we do have an event, they're few and far between enough. I think we'd have, I don't think it would draw people from there, but I think it would be a good opportunity just for IT to provide more technical benefit to the industry. So.
Okay. Any thoughts from any of the other sections?
This is Christine with Bayside Oops, sorry, my microphone was up. And I agree. I've really enjoyed on a personal level being able to join other districts meetings or, and you can kind of pick and choose the prices right for a lot of these virtual meetings, even if you do it, out of your own pocket and things. So I think it's a great opportunity where people can kind of pick and choose what topics they're interested in and just provides additional broader range content for them. So I fully support, sending it out to other sections.
Thank you.
I agree. I think it would be really good if we could have a place that showed each section's upcoming meetings. If we are aware, we try to send out other sections if they want us to, send that out to our members. But I do think it would have to give everyone an opportunity to plug into other sections and have more content, have opportunities for more PDHs. The one thing that I'm sure everyone on this call has run into is with these virtual meetings, it's really easy for your virtual meeting to get booked over. So like, I'll even have a virtual meeting on my calendar, but because I'm in my office, it's really easy for other meetings to end up being booked over it and me actually not being able to attend the virtual meeting that I intended to go to. So I think, if we can have access to multiple virtual meetings, it would provide more opportunities to get PDHs and get content out there. So I think that would be, we'd definitely be open to that.
Thank you, Jessica. Anybody else have anything to say? We are at 1 minute till 1, but no problems if anybody else would like to say anything. Oops, hang up. Thanks for sharing today from Lee Tupper in the chat box.
Hey Cindy, this is Jeff. Just right here at the end here, I just wanted to mention really quick regarding calendars and section meetings. And maybe Scott Walker can also speak to this, but I know a while back, International ITE had asked us to provide a link to their overall ITE calendar on the Southern District website. And I think that International ITE is going, and they've got somebody tasked with reviewing websites and section calendars and district calendars, kind of in an effort for them to post anything and everything that they know about on kind of a master ITE calendar. So just to kind of make everybody aware of another potential source of information. Now you're going to get the whole country looking at this calendar, but I mean, you may be able to sift through it and, see some other section or district meetings that might, look like a good option. Just kind of know what all the other sections and districts are doing. That may generate even some additional ideas beyond what we heard today as well. So I just want to make sure that everybody was aware of that source of information, and just kind of use that as I guess, just, kind of know that people are going to your section websites and reviewing your calendars and things like that. So I would just encourage everybody to try to keep that information as up to date as they can. And that would help all of us as well as we're trying to look for different meetings that are going on within all of our sections. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you, Jeff. That's one of the reasons I know the executive committee keeps asking everybody for what their schedule is for the year, because we want to get that posted. Because when we do go back to in-person meetings, the executive committee, typically, we started this under Todd Long, where an officer was assigned to 2 different sections to show up in person at their meetings to get a better feel for what was going on. We would love to get back to that, but for now, while everything's virtual, it gives an opportunity for more of the officers to show up and see what's going on. So that's not bad, but anyhow, sorry about the distraction with the phone there. But anyhow, I thought today was a really productive time. I'd like to thank Joe for talking to us about what the North Carolina section has done. And I know everybody's got meetings to get to since this was a lunchtime deal. So any last words from Joe?
Just thanks for the opportunity to share. And I got a nice full page of notes here of things that we can mull over and we can use here. And I will send you the list of the 16 topics.
Yes, and I will send those out. So send to me and they'll be on their way.
Yep. So good talking with everybody. This was productive for me and hope it was for you too.
And I thank y'all for participating. And Jeff has posted in the chat box the International ITE website, the Resource Center. So make sure you see that before we go logging off. So thank you all. Look forward to seeing what happens. Like I said, be sure to register for Becky's session tomorrow if you're interested in certifications. And next month is the June 23rd on hybrid meetings, which will be another educational twist. So enjoy the rest of the week. See you soon.
Thanks, Cindy. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye all.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
See you